Jungkook broke down in tears after Taehyung suddenly collapsed during BTS dance practice. What happened next left everyone speechless. What would you do if someone you cared about suddenly collapsed right in front of you, and for a few terrifying seconds, you had no idea whether they were going to open their eyes again? What if the person lying motionless on the practice room floor was someone you had spent years laughing with, performing with, traveling with, and protecting in ways the cameras never captured? And what if, in that frightening moment, Jungkook could do nothing but kneel beside Taehyung and cry? That is the emotional question at the center of this fictionalized BTS story, a dramatic scenario inspired by the close friendship and brother-like bond fans often associate with Jungkook and Taehyung. The events described here are presented as fiction and should not be mistaken for a report of an actual incident. But imagine the scene. The music is loud. The mirrors cover an entire wall. 7 familiar figures are moving almost perfectly in sync. The dance instructor counts every beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The rehearsal has already gone on for hours, and everyone is exhausted. Then, without warning, Taehyung stops. At first, nobody understands why. Jimin turns his head. J-Hope pauses between movements. RM looks toward the mirror. Suga notices something is wrong. Jungkook is the first one to move. Taehyung takes one uncertain step backward. His expression changes. His knees suddenly buckle. And then he collapses. What happens in the next few seconds is something nobody in the room expected. Jungkook runs toward him. His voice shakes. His hands tremble. And when Taehyung does not immediately respond, Jungkook's eyes fill with tears. Taehyung! The music stops. The room becomes completely silent. If you were watching this fictional scene unfold, would you be able to stay calm? Before we continue, tell us what you think Jungkook would do if Taehyung suddenly collapsed during rehearsal. Would he panic immediately, or would he try to remain calm for everyone else? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if emotional BTS stories like this keep you interested, remember to like the video and subscribe so you do not miss the next story. Because in this fictional scenario, Jungkook's reaction is only the beginning. It was supposed to be another ordinary rehearsal. Nothing about the evening suggested that something frightening was about to happen. The members had arrived at the studio with the familiar mixture of exhaustion and determination that comes from preparing for a demanding performance. Their schedules had been packed, their bodies were tired, and yet the moment the music began, everyone tried to give everything they had. That was what made the sudden silence so unsettling. Taehyung had been dancing normally. He had smiled at one point when Jimin made a small mistake. J-Hope had corrected a formation. Suga had watched the choreography carefully. RM had been focused on the timing. Jungkook had been standing near Taehyung, occasionally glancing toward him through the mirror. There was nothing obviously wrong. At least, nothing anyone could see. The choreography continued. The beat became faster. The members moved across the floor. Their footsteps struck the wooden surface in rhythm. The instructor called out the count. Again. 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 Then Taehyung's movement became slightly slower. It was subtle. So subtle that someone unfamiliar with him might not have noticed. But Jungkook did. He noticed a tiny change in Taehyung's posture. He noticed that Taehyung was breathing more heavily. He noticed that Taehyung briefly placed one hand near his side. Jungkook looked at him through the mirror. Their eyes met for less than a second. Taehyung gave a small smile. It seemed to say, "I'm fine." Jungkook looked away. The music continued. But something about that expression stayed in his mind. The next sequence began. Taehyung stepped forward, then backward, then turned. But during the turn, his balance seemed to disappear. His shoulders dropped. His knees weakened. and before anyone could reach him, he fell. The sound of his body hitting the floor was not loud, but to the people in the room, it felt enormous. Everything stopped. The music was cut immediately. Nobody spoke. For one brief moment, everyone simply stared. Then Jungkook moved. He crossed the room almost instinctively. Taehyung! His voice echoed against the mirrors. He dropped to his knees beside him. Jimin rushed over. J-Hope followed. RM called for assistance. Suga moved closer, his expression suddenly serious. But Jungkook seemed unable to hear anything except his own heartbeat. He touched Taehyung's shoulder. Hyung? No response. Jungkook swallowed. Taehyung, can you hear me? Still nothing. The confidence that audiences usually saw on stage seemed to disappear completely. Jungkook looked frightened. Not nervous. Not concerned. Frightened. His eyes began to water. He tried to hide it. He blinked repeatedly. But the tears came anyway. Jimin placed a hand on Jungkook's shoulder. Jungkook, stay calm. But Jungkook shook his head. I don't know what's happening. His voice was barely audible. He looked at Taehyung again. Please wake up. The words were simple, but they carried the weight of years of friendship. Jungkook had spent countless moments beside Taehyung. They had laughed together, teased one another, argued over ridiculous things, shared food, practiced together, performed together, traveled together. They had experienced pressure, exhaustion, success, criticism, celebration, and uncertainty side by side. To Jungkook, Taehyung was not simply another member standing beside him. He was family. And seeing family suddenly collapse can make even the strongest person feel helpless. The staff quickly entered the room. Everyone was instructed to give Taehyung space. Jungkook hesitated. He did not want to move. He wanted to stay beside him. J-Hope gently told him that the staff needed room. Jungkook finally stepped backward. But he could not take his eyes away. His hands were shaking. He wiped his face. Another tear fell. Jimin noticed. He moved closer. He's going to be okay. Jungkook nodded, but he did not look convinced. What if something is wrong? We don't know yet. That answer made Jungkook even more emotional. He turned away. For a moment, he pressed both hands against his face. The others could see that he was trying desperately to control himself. But the fear had already taken over. The room that had been filled with music and laughter now felt unbearably quiet. The mirrors reflected the scene from every direction. 7 members had entered the room together. Now everyone was waiting. Waiting for Taehyung to respond. Waiting for information. Waiting for reassurance. Seconds seemed to become minutes. Finally, Taehyung moved. His fingers shifted slightly. Jungkook immediately looked up. He's moving! The staff continued checking on him. Taehyung slowly opened his eyes. His expression was confused. He looked around. Then his eyes landed on Jungkook. Jungkook froze. For a second, neither of them said anything. Then Taehyung whispered, "Why are you crying?" That question broke the tension. Jungkook laughed through his tears. "Because you scared me." Taehyung tried to smile. "I'm okay." Jungkook shook his head. "You just collapsed." "I know. You didn't answer me. I was dizzy." Jungkook looked down. The tears returned. "You can't do that." Taehyung stared at him. "Do what?" "Scare me like that." The room became quiet again. Jimin looked away. J-Hope smiled sadly. Even Suga, who often remained calm in stressful situations, seemed affected by the moment. RM exhaled slowly. The tension was beginning to disappear, but the fear had not completely left the room. Taehyung was helped to sit comfortably. The staff continued to monitor him. The rehearsal was over. Nobody needed to say it. There was no way anyone was going to continue dancing after what had happened. Jungkook remained nearby. He did not leave. Even when Taehyung insisted that he was feeling better, Jungkook stayed close. He kept looking at him. Every few seconds. Almost as if he needed visual confirmation that Taehyung was still awake. Taehyung noticed. "You keep staring," Jungkook replied. "I'm checking." "Checking what?" "That you're still conscious." Taehyung laughed softly. "You really were scared?" Jungkook looked down. "Of course I was." There was no joke in his voice. That was when Taehyung became quiet. The playful expression disappeared. He looked at Jungkook carefully. "Sorry." Jungkook shook his head. "Don't apologize. I didn't mean to scare you." "I know." For several seconds they simply sat there. No cameras. No stage. No audience. No performance. Just two friends sitting in a quiet rehearsal room after a frightening moment. The fictional scenario became even more emotional because Jungkook finally admitted something he rarely said out loud. "When you fell, I thought something really bad happened." Taehyung looked at him. Jungkook continued. "I couldn't think." His voice became softer. "I just saw you on the floor." He paused. "And I was scared." Taehyung reached out and lightly touched his arm. "I'm here." Jungkook nodded. "I know." But his eyes were still wet. The other members gradually joined them. Jimin sat nearby. J-Hope brought water. RM checked whether Taehyung needed anything. Suga quietly observed the situation. The atmosphere was completely different from the beginning of the rehearsal. Nobody cared about choreography anymore. Nobody cared about perfect timing. Nobody cared about how many times they had practiced the routine. At that moment, the only thing that mattered was making sure Taehyung was okay. The fictional story might have ended there. But what happened afterward became the emotional heart of the imagined night. Later, when Taehyung was feeling more stable, the members gathered in the hallway outside the studio. Jungkook stood against the wall. He looked exhausted. Jimin approached him. "You okay?" Jungkook nodded. Then he shook his head. "I don't know." Jimin smiled gently. "You were really scared." Jungkook looked at the floor. "I've seen him tired before." He paused. "But seeing him fall like that..." He could not finish the sentence. Jimin understood. Sometimes fear does not need a long explanation. J-Hope joined them. "You did what you could." Jungkook nodded. "I just wish I had noticed earlier." "Notice what?" He looked tired. Jungkook's voice became quieter. "I saw it." Jimin looked at him. "What do you mean?" "He looked tired before he fell." Jungkook remembered the moment. The small change in Taehyung's breathing. The brief glance through the mirror. The smile. The moment when Taehyung seemed to say he was fine without speaking. "I should have stopped him." J-Hope shook his head. "You couldn't have known." "I still should have asked." "Jungkook." J-Hope placed a hand on his shoulder. "You didn't do anything wrong." But Jungkook continued looking down. The thought remained in his mind. What if he had asked? What if he had noticed sooner? What if Taehyung had been seriously injured? What if he had not opened his eyes? Those questions were impossible to answer. And perhaps that was why Jungkook could not stop thinking about them. When he finally returned to the room, Taehyung was sitting comfortably. The others were talking quietly. Taehyung looked up. "Come here." Jungkook walked over. Taehyung patted the space beside him. Jungkook sat. "You don't have to worry anymore." Jungkook smiled faintly. "I'm still going to worry." Taehyung laughed. "I know." Then Taehyung said something that surprised Jungkook. "You cried really hard." Jungkook immediately became embarrassed. "I did not." "You did." "No." "Your eyes are red." "Because the room was dusty." Taehyung laughed. "The room was dusty?" "Yes." "Both eyes?" "Yes." Taehyung smiled. For the first time since the collapse, the room felt normal again. The members laughed. Jungkook finally smiled properly. But beneath the humor was something deeper. The incident had reminded everyone how quickly an ordinary rehearsal could change. One moment they were dancing. The next they were standing around someone they loved, hoping everything would be okay. That realization stayed with Jungkook. Later that night, after everyone had begun preparing to leave, Jungkook found Taehyung alone near the studio entrance. "You really okay?" Taehyung nodded. "I'm okay." "Promise?" Taehyung smiled. "Promise." Jungkook looked at him for several seconds. Then he said, "Next time you feel dizzy, tell someone." "I will." "Don't just smile and say you're fine." Taehyung laughed. "You know me too well." "That's the problem." "What problem?" "I know when you're pretending to be okay." Taehyung became quiet. The sentence seemed to touch something inside him. He looked away. Then he smiled softly. "Thank you?" Jungkook nodded. "For what?" "For caring." Jungkook shrugged. "You're my brother." Taehyung looked at him. That simple sentence carried more meaning than either of them expected. You're my brother. Not a celebrity. Not a performer. Not a person standing beside him under bright stage lights. Just family. And perhaps that was why the imagined collapse had affected Jungkook so deeply. The audience usually sees performers when they are at their strongest. They see confidence. They see choreography. They see lights. They see smiles. They see perfection. But behind every performance are human beings who become tired, worried, emotional, and vulnerable. The fictional scene allows us to imagine what might happen if those hidden emotions suddenly surfaced. Jungkook's tears were not weakness. They represented fear. Fear of losing someone important. Fear of being unable to help. Fear of seeing someone you love suffer. And for Taehyung, waking up to see Jungkook crying might have been equally emotional. Because sometimes the strongest proof of friendship is not a dramatic speech. Sometimes it is simply seeing someone refuse to leave your side when you are at your weakest. The next morning, according to this fictional storyline, Jungkook arrived at the studio earlier than everyone else. He opened the door. The room was empty. The mirrors reflected his image. The wooden floor looked exactly the same. But to him, the room felt different. He remembered the moment. The music. The movement. Taehyung falling. The silence. His own voice shouting his name. He stood in the middle of the room. Then he heard footsteps. He turned. Taehyung was standing at the doorway. Jungkook immediately stared. Taehyung smiled. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Jungkook laughed. "Just checking." "Again?" "Again." Taehyung walked into the room. "I'm fine." "I know." They stood silently for a moment. Then Taehyung said, You really thought something terrible happened? Jungkook nodded. I did. Taehyung smiled. Sorry. Jungkook shook his head. Stop apologizing. What should I say? Just don't scare me. Taehyung smiled. I'll try. Then the other members began arriving. Jimin entered first. J-Hope followed. RM and Suga came soon afterward. The room slowly filled with familiar voices. Someone joked about breakfast. Someone complained about being tired. Someone turned on the music. For a few moments, everything felt ordinary. Then J-Hope looked at Taehyung. Are you sure you're ready? Taehyung nodded. But Jungkook immediately interrupted. Only if you're feeling okay. Taehyung looked at him. I am. Jungkook nodded. Okay. The music started. The members moved into position. The first count began. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jungkook glanced toward Taehyung. Taehyung noticed. He smiled. Jungkook smiled back. Then they continued. The fictional story might seem simple on the surface. A dancer became dizzy. A friend became frightened. The rehearsal stopped. Everyone came together. But emotionally, the moment represented something much larger. It showed how people who spend years together can develop an instinctive awareness of one another. Jungkook did not need Taehyung to explain that something was wrong. He noticed a small change. And when Taehyung fell, his body reacted before his mind could process what had happened. That instinct is often what makes friendships so powerful. You do not think. You simply move. You hear a voice. You see someone fall. And suddenly, nothing else matters. The fictional story also highlights the contrast between public perception and private emotion. Fans often see BTS as 7 confident performers. They see powerful stages and unforgettable moments. But behind those images are relationships built through years of shared experiences. The imagined scene allows us to explore what one of those relationships might look like during a frightening moment. Jungkook crying beside Taehyung is not presented as a real event. It is a dramatic interpretation of the emotional bond fans often admire. And that distinction matters. In an age where fictional fan stories can quickly be mistaken for real news, it is important to remember that emotional storytelling and verified reporting are not the same thing. There is no verified claim here that Taehyung actually collapsed during a BTS dance rehearsal, or that Jungkook actually cried over such an incident. This is a fictionalized narrative created for entertainment. But even within fiction, emotions can feel real. Fear can feel real. Friendship can feel real. The relief that comes when someone opens their eyes after a frightening moment can feel real. And perhaps that is why imagined scenes like this can affect audiences so strongly. Because everyone understands the feeling of being afraid for someone they care about. Imagine hearing the person you love say your name after you thought something terrible had happened. Imagine the relief. Imagine the tears. Imagine trying to laugh because crying feels too frightening. That was the emotional atmosphere of the fictional rehearsal room. And Jungkook's reaction became the central moment. He had tried to remain strong. He had tried to help. But when Taehyung finally opened his eyes, the emotion came rushing out. He cried because he was relieved. He cried because he had been terrified. He cried because sometimes the body releases emotions only after the danger appears to be over. Taehyung understood. The other members understood. And for a brief moment, nobody made fun of him. Nobody told him to stop. They simply let him feel what he was feeling. That might have been the most powerful part of the imagined scene. Not the collapse. Not the panic. Not the tears. But the silence afterward. The moment when everyone realized that they did not need to say anything. They were simply there. Together. Years of friendship can be measured in many ways. Shared birthdays. Shared stages. Shared journeys. Shared jokes. Shared memories. But perhaps one of the strongest measures is how quickly people come together when something goes wrong. In this fictional story, that is exactly what happened. The music stopped. The choreography disappeared. The performance no longer mattered. The members became friends first. Family first. Human beings first. And Jungkook's tears became the emotional symbol of that transition. The audience might imagine seeing the moment through a camera. Perhaps the camera would focus on Jungkook. His eyes red. His breathing uneven. His hands shaking. Then it might move toward Taehyung. His eyes slowly opening. Then back to Jungkook. The two looking at each other. No dramatic music needed. No special effects. No dialogue required. The emotion would speak for itself. But if there were one line that captured the entire fictional scene, it might be the sentence Jungkook whispered after Taehyung woke up. "You scared me." For simple words. Yet behind those words were years of memories. Years of friendship. Years of shared experiences. Years of knowing someone well enough to recognize when their smile was hiding exhaustion. And that is why the imagined moment feels so intense. Because Jungkook was not crying merely because Taehyung had fallen. He was crying because for a few terrifying seconds, he did not know what would happen next. That uncertainty is what frightens people most. When someone collapses, the mind immediately asks questions. Are they okay? Are they breathing? Will they wake up? Did they hurt themselves? Should someone call for help? What happens now? The fictional Jungkook experienced all of those questions at once. And the other members experienced their own version of fear. Jimin tried to comfort him. J-Hope tried to maintain calm. RM focused on making sure the situation was handled. Suga remained attentive. Everyone had a different response. But all of them were connected by the same concern. Taehyung. Eventually, the room began to breathe again. People started talking. The tension eased. Taehyung smiled. Jungkook stopped crying. But the memory remained. And perhaps that is what makes emotional moments unforgettable. They do not disappear simply because the immediate danger is gone. They stay somewhere inside you. Later, Jungkook might remember that rehearsal and think about how quickly everything changed. He might remember the sound of the music stopping. He might remember Taehyung's face. He might remember the feeling of fear in his chest. And he might remember the relief of hearing Taehyung's voice again. "Why are you crying?" That question, innocent and almost humorous, became the turning point. Because Jungkook finally realized that Taehyung was awake. He could speak. He could joke. He could smile. The person he was afraid of losing was still right there. And sometimes, relief feels almost as overwhelming as fear. That night, when everyone finally left the studio, Jungkook looked back one more time. The lights were dim. The mirrors were empty. The floor was quiet. He imagined the music playing again. He imagined the choreography. He imagined the moment before Taehyung fell. Then he imagined the moment afterward. He shook his head. "Never again," he whispered. He closed the door. Outside, Taehyung was waiting. "You coming?" Jungkook smiled. "Yeah." They walked away together. No cameras. No stage. No audience. Just two friends leaving the building after a long day. And in that fictional ending, perhaps that is exactly how the story should close. Not with a dramatic headline. Not with a shocking revelation. Not with another frightening moment. But with two people walking side by side. Because after everything that happened, Taehyung was okay. And Jungkook was no longer crying. The fear had passed. The rehearsal could wait. The choreography could wait. The performance could wait. For that night, being together was enough. Yet there was one final question left hanging in the air. If the cameras had truly been there during that fictional moment, would fans have understood how frightened Jungkook was? Would they have noticed the small details? The trembling hands? The tears he tried to hide? The way he kept looking at Taehyung after everything seemed fine? Would they have realized that sometimes the most emotional moments are not planned? And would they have understood that behind the image of a global superstar is simply a person who can become terrified when someone he loves is suddenly hurt? Perhaps that is the greatest emotional surprise of this fictional story. Jungkook did not cry because he was weak. He cried because Taehyung mattered. And perhaps Taehyung's quiet smile afterwards said everything. "I'm here." Those two words were enough. Enough to end the panic. Enough to stop the tears. Enough to remind Jungkook that sometimes the most important thing is not perfection. It is simply having the people you love still beside you. And as the fictional BTS members left the rehearsal studio together, the night became quiet again. The music was gone. The lights were fading. The mirrors no longer reflected choreography. But the memory of the evening remained. One sudden collapse. One terrifying silence. One desperate cry. One pair of tear-filled eyes. And one friendship that, at least in this fictional story, became stronger because of a moment nobody expected. So, if you had been standing inside that rehearsal room when Taehyung suddenly fell, what would you have done? Would you have panicked like Jungkook? Would you have tried to stay calm like the others? Or would you have been frozen in shock, unable to believe what you were seeing? And if Taehyung opened his eyes and quietly asked, "Why are you crying?" would you have been able to hold back your tears? That is the question this fictional story leaves behind. Because sometimes the most powerful stories are not about fame. They are not about concerts. They are not about awards. They are not even about music. They are about fear, friendship, relief, and the people who remain beside us when everything suddenly goes wrong. In this imagined BTS rehearsal, Jungkook's tears became the clearest expression of one simple truth. Sometimes you do not realize how much someone means to you until, for one terrifying moment, you think you might lose them. And sometimes, when they finally open their eyes, all you can do is cry. Disclaimer: this video/article is a fictionalized fan-made story created for entertainment purposes only. The events described, including Taehyung allegedly fainting during BTS dance practice and Jungkook crying, are not presented as verified real-life events. There is no intention to misrepresent BTS, Jungkook, Taehyung, or any other member. This content is not official news and should not be treated as factual reporting. Viewer discretion is advised, and please rely on official BTS or HYB sources for confirmed information.